Hey guys, welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid and another morning ramble. We're starting down here in my man-made forest this morning, but don't worry, we're going up to the campground. Got to, it's part of the story. But I wanted to show you my new cedar tree that I got in the ground. I put 6 in here this week. I started to put this cedar tree in the ground 3 days ago. It wouldn't fit. So one thing I've learned in life, and it took me the first 40 years of my life to learn this, so I'm hoping not to do it the second 40 years of my life, and that is that if it doesn't fit, don't force it. So that was the case with this cedar tree out here, and the 5 others. I tried to put them in the ground here about 3 days ago. They just wouldn't fit, so I didn't force it, and it took 3 days, but they just slid right in. What in the world is Crazy Lake talking about this time? Well, to explain, we've got to go up there where the firewood is. So let's head on up the hill. We are all unique in our own ways. We have our little quirks and nuances that make us us. And I do not want to be medicated into the mob. So I have various techniques I use that I've learned to use throughout the years when I have anxiety attacks or deal with anxiety. They get me through it, that allow me to get things done. And I just thought I'd share one of them with you, that being if it doesn't fit, don't force it. So let it slide right in. Now here's what all this means. Okay, we had the tree. It's talking about how we need to come up here for the firewood because this is part of the deal. So was a jog and helping my beautiful bride dearly make a cooking video and picking up walnuts. All this stuff has everything to do with it. Here's what I'm talking about. Sometimes when things pile up on me, responsibilities or chores or things that really don't have to be done but that I want to do, I will become overwhelmed like a lot of people. And there's that sun breaking through the clouds. You guys got to see this. It's beautiful. Here's my homestead. It's still early. It's about 8 a.m. Isn't that beautiful? You hear the birds singing and only God knows what walking around in the forest behind me. Probably quite a few squirrels because I brought about 6 cartloads of walnuts up here. But the good news is they're finally cleaned up out of the yard down there, the part we walk around in. So here I am the other day, kind of having an anxiety attack. It's just one of my isms. Once upon a time, they wanted to medicate it out of me, and all they did was medicate the desire to live out of me. So that's not the way I go these days. Not giving medical advice, not giving medication advice. I'm not qualified to do either, but this is something that works for me that I wanted to share with you. So, step 1. I had about half a dozen things I wanted to get done that had been building up for a couple of days. I'd not been getting done, some because of the rain, some because our son had been sick, and some because my wife and son are so spoiled that when they want to do something, it supersedes anything I want to do. So they wanted to go do a couple things, go back to the library, take back Daniel's Halloween books he'd already read and get some more. These just little things like this, but they're big things to me because it's important to my family. So that's what got done, not planting the trees, cutting the firewood, picking up the walnuts, etc., etc. So I was kind of having an anxiety attack 3 days ago, thinking about doing some of these things that had piled up. And it occurred to me that I hadn't run or exercised for about 2 days. That would have been my 3rd day straight without exercise. Guys, that's like not breathing for me, or it's like going without a meal. So I said, okay, Kevin, calm down. Go for a 20-minute run around your homestead. And I did. I did like 5.5 laps. And when I finished my run, I was down there in that man-made forest where we started this video, looking at these bare spots where I wanted to put half a dozen different cedar trees, because the trees we planted there before didn't make it, or because there was a gap, and when, looking from my porch down to the road, I can notice gaps. I wanted to fill in those gaps. I said to myself, after I felt refreshed from my run, I said, Kevin, what do you have to do today? And the answer was a resounding nothing. And then I asked myself, what do you get to do today? And the answer was a resounding everything, or anything I want. And so I remembered a technique I use for multitasking, and that is, we've heard it said, when you have a big chore, do the chore the same way you'd eat an elephant, one bite at a time. So I said to myself, you know what? If nothing else, I'm going to get those cedar trees that I have potted up, put them in my cart, bring them down here, and set the pots in the spot where I want these trees to go. Because that's what I've got to do first anyway. Now, if I feel motivated to dig the holes and plant the trees after I've done that, I will. If I don't, I won't. So after I finished my workout, I got the lawnmower, my new cart that I got. It's been a week. It's a week old today. I'm still so excited. I'm driving it all over the place for no reason, just so I can have an excuse to haul it around. But, when we're taking the hay rides, you probably saw the video we made of that with my beautiful bride, Dearly, and our son, Daniel, in the back, just running all over the homestead. It's been a lot of fun. So I get the trees down, put them in their place. I didn't feel like digging the holes and planting them, so I didn't do it. I've got all this firewood piling up on me. I'm still cutting up this giant red oak limb that fell off of our red oak giving tree. I'll tell you about that cut here in a second. I did that yesterday. So I think, okay, Kevin, if you go up there and you spend any amount of time cutting any amount of wood, you've got some more wood ready. You don't have to cut up that entire limb. What if you cut up part of that limb? And that's what I did. I came up here and I got the limbs forked, 2 big forks. I got one of the forks cut off, cut down into lengths, but then I didn't feel like doing it anymore, so I stopped. I went down, I helped Dearly with her cooking video. The way we do that is I hold the phone while she does all the different parts. Well, I get breaks in between there. You know, if she has to cover something and let it cook for 5 or 10 minutes, I get a 5 or 10 minute break. I usually just annoy her and make her forget what she's doing because I just blah, 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 ramble. But that day I said to myself, okay, what if while I've got this 5 or 10 minute break between the next filming session, if I go out there and just pick up some of these walnuts? Maybe I can get half of a 5-gallon bucket worth of walnuts. Well, by the time she finished that cooking video, I had the rest of those walnuts at least picked up and in buckets and various containers to haul up here because I did it a little bit at a time. So this is what I've done for the last few days. I made sure not to miss my workouts. I've been getting my little jogs in. I used to run, but now I jog. What's the difference? About 5 or 6 minutes per mile. Runners and joggers will understand. I got my other exercises I like to do in, but I got my trees planted. It took 3 days, and at first I wasn't going to force it. Here's what I've learned. If I don't feel like doing something at the time, and it does not have to be done. No, I'm not talking about getting my kid up and ready for school on a school day. I'm talking about, okay, planting those trees. It could have waited. I didn't feel like doing it just then, so I let it wait. They're in the ground now. It took 3 days, but I didn't want to force it. So I didn't, and then eventually 3 days later it just slid right in because yesterday I was up here cutting wood. I cut my finger. I wasn't wearing gloves. It was stupid. I always wear gloves when I work with any sort of saw, and I was just using a limb saw to cut some of the thinner limbs because I don't waste any of it. If it's big enough to burn, I mean, I'll burn it. And it's crazy. I told a ghost story yesterday afternoon in the woods about old Red Eyes. Uploaded that last night. We've been having problems with the internet connection again, so uploads have been slow. I apologize for that. And just out of the corner of my eyes in a dark shadow in the woods, I swear I thought I saw 2 red eyes. And I looked over for a second while I was sawing, and I ended up hitting my finger. It's nothing serious, but I had to put a Band-Aid on it, clean it off, put some pressure, Band-Aid. So while I was down there doing that, I went out on the porch and I saw this shovel laying there from where Dearly had planted her Ford mums that she found on the road, not dead, falling off a truck or something. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go down there and get those trees in the ground. So I got the shovel. I went down, and in half an hour or less, I had my 6 new cedar trees in my man-made forest where I wanted them to go. So that's kind of telling you what I've done over the last 3 days and how I've done it, on top of other things I've been doing, of course. Had a wonderful time at my kids' school last night for the Halloween Fall Festival thing. Saw some friends, had a lot of laughs. Kids had fun. But the point is, for me, this is a technique that works for me. When I become overwhelmed with multiple tasks, instead of forging in and forcing myself to do one until it's done, then the other till it's done, which at times I do, but if I don't feel like that's the way to go, I don't force it. I let it be. And I'm able to do it drug and pill free. And it all got done. Just a technique I use that I wanted to share with you. If it doesn't fit, don't force it. Let it slide right in. Do each task one bite at a time, just like eating an elephant. And maybe that'll work for some of you. If it does, I'm happy. I do want to thank you for being with me here for another morning ramble. And I'm going to give you another parting shot of the homestead. Oh, and by the way, when I opened the blinds this morning, there was a big old red fox right outside the window, just on the other side of the walnut tree, staring at the windows, and he took off running across the field. So I don't think I'll be free-ranging Roger and his lady friends today. I think that fox has been watching them. So we're going to keep them shut up for at least today. See you guys next time for more from here at Homesteading Off the Grid.